Welcome, folks, to another edition of Tiffin Cast. I'm your host, Sei Shu. Thanks for joining me again for another edition here. Today's guest is a friend of mine. He's a Canadian, well, Moroccan Canadian, I would say, living in Ottawa. His name is Younes Bounhar, and he comes to photography in a rather interesting way. And I figured we would talk a little bit about his journey, a little bit about his current passions, and certainly talk a little bit about his partnership with his wife, who's also a photographer and works alongside with him. Younes, welcome to the show.
Hi, Seshu. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Younes, you're based in Ottawa, but you grew up in Morocco, right?
Yeah.
And you came to Canada, and you came as a molecular biologist. Is that right?
I came to study as a molecular biologist. Yes,
Okay.
I have a master's degree in neurology, actually. So
Neurology.
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a quite a turn from molecular biology and neurology into photography. Give me a sort of a 30-second explanation as to how that happened to you. Like, what happened where you just decided, I'm going to close this chapter and move on to photography?
It's actually one of the silliest things. I was on a trip to Australia, stopped at a place that wasn't even scheduled, ended up in a photo gallery that had these massive prints that just spoke to me in a way that nothing had ever before. And, I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool to just travel and take photos for a living? That'd be kind of cool. Seriously. This was 2006. I got home, or 2007. I got home, bought a camera. And that was that. I was a landscape photographer for several years, and then did architecture on the side, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed photography as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, to me, it's the one thing that I could never get in my life was something that that I was passionate about to do nothing else, and that was it. It was always a challenge. Anything you did was different. It was giving you a problem to solve, and I love problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't think of anything else. So my government job was less and less interesting to me, and the passion screamed louder and louder.
Mm-hmm.
And stars sort of aligned in September of 2012, and had a 10-minute chat with Amanda, my wife, and we're like, do we do this? Yep, go. That was it.
Fantastic. Wow. No, Amanda's an architect who's also moved on to become a full-time photographer with you. And you guys have been kicking ass for the last year and a half, photographing some amazing work. I mean, I'm going to link to your website, obviously. But what is it about architecture for you? I know Amanda is probably in love with architecture because she's an architect. But for you, what is it that draws you to architecture?
Again, it's really the same thing that drew me to photography overall. It's always trying to see things differently. Again, I really see every photo pretty much as a challenge, as a problem to solve. So how do you present this in its best light? Literally, how it's about lines and patterns and shapes, and it's always it just gives you this extra incentive to look at your world differently, and it's exciting. It's like, oh my God, I would never have thought of this. And I started architecture as you might know, Ottawa is the second coldest capital in the world. So there's about 6 months where you really don't want to be doing anything outside, or very little. Although I do enjoy photographing in the winter, but I had done pretty much everything there was to do in Ottawa landscape-wise, for me at least, and I thought, well, let's mix it up a little bit, and I got into architecture that way, and it grew stronger and stronger and stronger. And when came the time to do something with Amanda as a joint venture, we sort of looked for something that was, interesting for both of us, that worked for both of us, that was a strength for both of us, and we went from there, and architecture was it.
That's a great point. You found a synergy in something that actually works for both of you, and that's what sort of propelled you into a new direction.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, our core business model is fundamentally based on passion. I'm not there to be a photographer. I know there's people who enjoy doing photography at large, and they want to do weddings and they want to do events, but we knew from the get-go, that is not something that actually worked for us. We like to be in control of our images from A to Z. And so we are convinced that for as long as you do something that you're truly, truly passionate about, that's how you can succeed. And for us, architecture is it. So we bring our A+ game to every job because we really, really love it. I mean, on our honeymoon, we spend our time photographing architecture. We don't have actually we have a single photo of us on our honeymoon.
Really?
Well, yeah. But
Okay.
we have tons of architecture.
Where did you go for your honeymoon, man?
Barcelona and Valencia. We spent 3 days of our 6 days in Spain photographing Calatrava's work in Valencia. So there you go.
Wonderful.
Geeks.
Yeah.
Absolute
Well, no,
geeks.
I mean
we love it.
I mean, when I look at your work, I mean, it sounds sort of. I mean, it sounds like I'm flattering you, but here's when I looked at your work, I was like, wow, this is poetry, man. This is poetry.
Oh, thank you.
It was like the first image, in fact, where there's this clear distinction between dark, highlights and shadows, and there's this beautiful line going on. I was like, how the heck did they do that? And I was just, it's mesmerizing when I look at it, and it's probably for the first time that I've actually, honestly, spent so much time looking at architecture. To be honest with you. Because I mean, I'm a people person kind of guy. I like photographs of people's faces, and those things really excite me. But for the first time, I was looking at buildings. I'm going, wow, these things have personality too, right?
They do. They absolutely. Yeah, my wife is gonna say that my head is never gonna fit in the door anymore. I'm sorry. Just stop with this flattery. But thank you. Yeah, I mean, what we love about architecture is that it doesn't move and doesn't talk back. So.
Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't. I think it still has an attitude, though.
But it certainly does. It doesn't mean it doesn't have its own personality, and that's the challenge too. It's
Right.
sort of trying to figure out what the architect's intent is and how you perceive it as well as a potential user of the space. Because I think a lot of people forget is that spaces are a lot about the user. So they're spaces that are being used and for a particular purpose. So we try to kind of combine all of that, and there's definitely attitude and personality that shines through these buildings for sure.
You've sort of triggered a question in me. You'd said something about the architect's intent. How do you match your intent with the architect's intent when you photograph something or a building or a space? I mean, do you have a way of like consulting with the architect and saying, hey, is this what you're going for, or is it more of, okay, I'm really passionate about this space and I'm going to make a great image, and whatever comes out of this is based on my vision of it and not so much the architect's? How does that work?
Well, it's a conversation. I mean,
It is, okay.
At the base of it, we offer a service. We're here to do what the architect wants us to do.
Sure.
So there's a long, well, sometimes long, sometimes short conversation about what it is the architect is trying to capture, or if there are specific angles they're trying to capture, if there are specific features, spaces, interactions they're looking to capture. Sometimes we get an actual shot list on a plan, saying, well, I want this particular angle and this one. So that's part of it. And the other one is that what we bring to the table is our vision on top of that. So sometimes we still bring angles that weren't even foreseen by the architects in the first place. And it's a bit of both. So it's, again, trying to capture the angles that you were requested to capture,
Sure.
but from your perspective as well. So again, and that's, that can be determined by choice of lens, choice of time of the day, and / light,
Indeed.
Whether to include people or not, the angle you're going to approach it from. So I think it's a conversation, and then it's sort of almost collaborative. I mean, we don't often have the architects with us on site, but when we do, there's a conversation that goes on. So what do you think about this? Is there something that you'd like done differently, or and sometimes it's as simple as close this blind or open this blind. I mean,
Right.
and other times it's like, wow, I love this. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it's and yeah. So that's when we're commissioned. When we're not commissioned, we just go out there and have fun. And,
Excellent.
you know.
Do you have a way of I mean, do you photograph using medium format, or is it more still the regular DSLRs that are in the market, or what are you using for your architecture work?
It's exclusively SLR.
SLR, really?
Really, for the reason that there's so much simpler, faster, lighter to deal with. I mean, I actually just spent a couple of weeks shooting with medium format camera in India, and they're big machines, heavy.
Yeah.
They have their uses for sure. They're fantastic. I mean, the image quality is amazing, but I think again, SLRs are really catching up in a way that that can't be discounted, and the flexibility it gives you allows you to move around faster, to take more shots, to try different things, and so it's SLRs and a full complement of tilt shift lenses. In fact, we just switched from Nikon to Canon because of the wider choice of lenses. Yes, I know.
Oh, okay. We're not going there. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about working with your wife, working with Amanda, who is an architect, who's got this incredible experience being able to, really build things on her own, actually. How does she see the images in front of her? I mean, is she approaching it as a photographer first, or is she approaching it as an architect? I should probably ask her that, but it'd be interesting to see what you have to say about it.
I mean, I'll give you my opinion. I think she's way too humble for her own good. I honestly think she's the artist in the partnership. I'm the technical dude. I know.
That's a nice title, by the way.
Sorry?
That's a nice title, by the way. Technical dude. Instead of photographer?
Dude. Yeah, I'm my LinkedIn profile says I'm the gear schlepper. So that's really my function.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really truly the artist in the team. She has this vision that I just can't explain. I mean, I'll be like setting up a shot and struggling with it, and I'll turn around and she'll be like, and see what she has in her camera and go like, how the hell did you get that?
Oh, wait a minute.
Where does this come from?
She's shooting separately from you at the same time?
We do. I mean, depends. Like we shoot separately and together at the same time. It's like having you double. Like so you can do things, kind of coincidentally, but also sometimes we're behind the same camera and we're like, okay, well, how about you adjust it this way, or how about you adjust it that way? Underexpose, overexpose, tweak it like this, or this is just crap. Move on. This happens. So the conversations you have in your head.
Yes. But now you can have it outside, like outside.
Yeah, that kind of can be problematic sometimes when you have clients with you.
Right.
We joke about it, but it's just, I think this is actually our strength. There's that constant improvement and critique that goes on for your work at every moment, and that's fabulous. This is what we love about this. It's having two sets of eyes, having and again, it's not just cumulative. It's really an exponential effect, if you will. It's like sometimes it's just that getting that little touch that takes a shot from okay to good to great, and that's sort of what we do. We're really a team, and it's, I don't know. For me, it's the revelation of this Doublespace thing. It's like it's been an amazing journey to have this person that you not only love as a person work with you all the time, but it's great inspiration, and it's just fantastic. I don't know.
Excellent. So. Good. Your website is doublespacephoto.com, correct?
Right.
Indeed. And we're going to have you back on Tiffin Box in probably a couple of weeks with some of your images where you're going to talk a little bit about how you approached it. Would love to have Amanda's input as well. So
Sure.
it would be truly a collaborative blog post. Probably my first, I think, to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever had a husband and wife actually blog together ever before. So yay to you.
You always remember your first time. It's good.
Dude, let's keep this clean. Thank you so much, Younes. I appreciate the time. I know we scheduled this before, and I had technical difficulties over Skype, and appreciate you rescheduling this and making this happen.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us, and talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.